back to the Shabby Doll House. My name is Laura. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I have a special project to share with you. So this project is months in the making because I have been just trying to collect things to make it. So I envisioned this project months ago. And what I mean by that is I was thinking how fun it would have been, well, it would be for anyone to find a vintage Needlekeep in an old trunk, maybe that, you know, your grandmother made, your mother made, or just finding one in a trunk in an old attic of a house that you may have purchased. I just went with that idea and ran with it. Like, I just think that this turned out really beautiful. And the reason behind this project is so that you can be inspired to make your own with things around your house. So I thought about, like, if I was an older woman and I didn't have very much things to make a book with or whatever, I just grabbed, you know, old tablecloths, old table runners, pieces of lace from dresses, old doilies from a table runner. Right here, that's what that is. Old pieces of tatting that I cut and put behind these vintage old buttons. And just different things like tatting and vintage lace, pieces of an old dress. So everything in this book is old and vintage. Some of it may even be antique. So I sewed down all of these buttons on here, hand sewed all these buttons on, and these buttons I have been hoarding. And I was going to slow stitch it, but I was like, no, because the way that I put this together, I put it together piece by piece, like different pieces of laces and tablecloths and everything. I wanted it to not fall apart. Like, I wanted it to look like it came from an attic, but I didn't want it to be actually falling apart, if you get what I'm trying to say. So I think that I did a good job. I don't know. I tried. So I used tulle from a vintage dress and some cheesecloth and old laces, just everything I could get my hands on that I've got pieces of, or that were just inside my scrap bin, pieces that people would normally just throw away. Okay, so let me go ahead and share this with you. So I didn't really think about the measurements that much. I was just grabbing different pieces and putting them together. But this measures, let's see, 10 by 7. So on the cover, I have some old tatting, some very vintage lace, and this is just a piece of lace off of a dress that I put on the front. And these buttons are very, very old. They're just naturally stained. And this is some old crochet trim off of something. I don't even know what it came off of. But I sewed it on there. And there's a little ruffle trim behind here as well. So this is from an old table runner. And I just cut them into the mini doilies and put some tatting on there. And what I did was, between the pages, I added the cheesecloth and the vintage tulle because I wanted it to look tattered and old and just stuff hanging out everywhere. So I'm going to go ahead and open it and share with you the inside. Let me get some of this stuff out of my way. Aren't these shoes adorable? I just found these and I thought they were so cute and I wanted to use them in my video. Adorable. So on the inside here We have a pocket here and a pocket here, and this pocket is made from 3 vintage laces, and this one's crocheted, and I believe that one's from an old dress. What I found was at a thrift shop, one of my favorite ones in Louisiana. She had this old dress. Let me see if I can find a piece of it. This is actually a piece of it. She said that it was in someone's trunk for years, and that is another reason why I made this book, because I used a lot of pieces from that, and that inspired me. So inside this pocket I have a very old vintage button card. I don't know how old it is, but it just looks so old. And this is a old pattern. I just love this, the way they collaged all these together on here. And I'm not sure the date of this, but actually, is that the date? It looks like it says, yeah, 1943. Okay. And it's got the original pattern in here. Isn't that so pretty? So I've just been collecting different things to make this project with, just to put inside of it. And it took me quite a while. And so on this side we have another pocket, and inside here we have another couple of vintage button cards. I love the buttons on this one. They're so pretty. In this pocket I used an old piece of dress, and this I actually put in my Needlekeep kits, which I still have 5 left, so I'll leave that link down below in the description box if you're interested. So this is some vintage lace from an old dress as well that I got from an estate sale years ago. And I have a piece of my tatting here, and an old doily and a vintage button. So I just love the colors and everything. They just look so pretty together. And here I have a huge pocket. So inside this pocket I have a whole bunch of old things. So we have some old floss, and this one actually came out of, where did I put it? Okay, it came out of a box like this I got from an estate sale, and I'm not sure how old it is, but it's made in England. I love this box. I couldn't throw it away, so I just keep old tatting and stuff like that in there. And this was wrapped. It was like rolled up inside of a old one of these crocheted thread. And I thought, how neat is that? So it's like advertisements for tatting books, crochet balls, and on this side it shows some more different books. So I added that in there, and we have some old hooks and eyes and some old snaps. This thing looks like it went through a lot. And we have some old sew-on snaps, some old pins, and this old scallop ruler. You know that's old. It was only 10 cents. And we have this old tracing wheel, and this is marble. This came out of a vintage, I still have it. It's full of thread and everything. This came out of a vintage sewing box. And so did this. I love this so much. This is an old measuring tape. Richmond, Virginia. And it's like it's connected on here, so you cannot completely remove it. Let me show you what I mean. Isn't that cute? I love that. And then we have some more hooks and eyes. I think there's one more thing in there. Yeah. Little vintage, what you call it? I can't think today. Vintage bobbin, I'm sorry. So, that's all that was in that pocket. And this is my favorite, the middle. So, in the middle, I put an old spindle, and I just tied it in with some old twine. And so you can just take it off, and it's got some vintage crocheted trims on here. And this page, you can really see what I mean about just piecing things together. So there's an old doily there, and a piece of an old dress here. And I have an old bobbin here from a old sewing machine. I just tied it on. And I like that the threads are just hanging everywhere. I just love that. So at the top here, that's another little piece of lace that I used like on the cover. And that's all I had left, so I just sewed it right on there. And on this side, I sewed on a tatted doily and made a little pocket with some vintage lace and some more tatting here and some trim from an old dress. And there's another really thin crochet doily behind there. And in the corner there, that's a piece of a tablecloth. And so inside here, we just have some very old scissors. I also found these at my favorite shop. Let's see if I can get that off. And it's 2 pair. I can't do anything with these nails. Okay, so we have these here, and I did not rust these. This is how they came. You can actually see the name on it. You might not on camera, but you can see the little markings on it. So those go in there, and that was made with a vintage piece of cloth. And so here we have a removable tiny needle keep. So this was made with an old piece of cloth, and this is from an old doily. And I tried to make it look as old as possible, but I did not rust these. These came out of something from an old sewing box. So I just added those in there. I love it. I got a little piece of tatting there, a little piece of flower from a doily, and a very old button. So that just ties in there. I hope that you are all having a wonderful day so far. It turned out really pretty here today. It was really dreary. Now it's sunny, so I decided to make this video. So the next page, I have this really beautiful heart doily and this smaller one on top. And I just love these little bitty flowers on here. They're so pretty. And this old piece of tatting, and I sewed this old button on. And what I did was I took this vintage tablecloth and scrunched it up and made a ruffle out of it with some tulle and cheesecloth. And I have some rusted safety pins there. So that's a spot that you can put some needles and stuff, but I didn't have any more to add there, so that's why I don't have any. So on this page, this is a piece of a tablecloth, and this I got out of a bag from a thrift shop, and I think it's just pieces someone crocheted and they were going to put it together like to make a table runner or something. I don't know, but I have some more of that, the old little doilies with those vintage buttons on here, so it's like a pocket. And so I have another one of these vintage patterns in here. I don't know the date on this one. Let's see. I don't know. But I've never seen the kind like this that were mailed in an envelope. Oh, isn't that pretty? So when I found these, I was like, oh my gosh, how perfect. So on the last page, I have this absolutely beautiful antique lace. I found this at a thrift shop, and it was like $5, and it just had holes in it, stains all over it, but I didn't care. I was like, I can still use that. And so inside, I just have this vintage, I think this is from, yeah, this is from 1915, this old Singer sewing machine book. And look at the images in here. Absolutely beautiful. So some of the pages are coming out, but they're all there. I love it. So this is some more of that lace that I have in my vintage Needlekeep kit. So pretty, isn't it? And I love the texture of it. So this is the corner of that tablecloth, and I thought it made a really pretty pocket. And on the back, I just put a bunch of vintage, well, they're not vintage. I just put a bunch of old looking safety pins that have been rusted. So I hope that you guys like my book, and I hope that it looks like something that came out of an attic to you. To me it does. But so the back, I have some tatting and another piece of a doily with an old button, and you can see that I used some very, very old lace, and that old dress is behind there, and there was some holes there, so I just kind of gathered it and put this lace around it. I was not going for perfection. I just wanted to make it look like it was something that was made a long time ago. And so I really hope that you guys like it. And as much as I hate to get rid of this, I'm going to put it in my Etsy shop. So I hope that y'all have a wonderful day. And let me know what y'all think down below. Please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. It's free to do that. And just comment and let me know if you like it. And I will be back soon with another video. So I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye.